Hey guys, welcome to part two of The Search is Over. And I wanted to come back out here in the snow because I just love it, but I had to put a hat on, like a beanie, because, it's pretty cold out here and it's nothing but ice coming out. Anyways, listen to this. So I had posted my part one about my grandchildren and how I've been praying for them and asking God for the answers. And there's a House bill that was passed in September of 2021 in the state of Texas, and we're focusing on that. It's a House bill that can reinstate parental rights, but the focus on that part is because, like, there's so many parents whose rights were terminated, even if, like, under duress too. In our situation, my daughter literally never wanted to give up her children. So, but anyway, she was backed into a corner and does, something that we'll discuss in a future video. Anyway, so let me get to the point. But I wanted people to just go and look at the House bills in Texas that were passed on parental rights and terminations, okay? Because it's really helpful to read that stuff if you're in Texas. Okay, moving on. So I was able to find out that my grandkids are together, and I know their names, and I found out that their grandmother is like the one that is their adopted grandmother. She's like a famous author. This family had money, so I'm sure the kids are being well taken care of financially. But the issue is the heartache, the pain that it caused our family. Because, see, I went through all the reports and everything, and I was really shocked to learn that they had listed someone as a paternal grandfather for my grandson, when in fact that person wasn't. And they did not list his actual paternal grandfather in the family. That family could have taken the children and could have cared for my grandson, because they did not have knowledge. They weren't told. These things were kept out. I'm concerned that my grandchildren, because they are both half Hispanic, they also have Native American, I'm concerned that they may not get their heritage. And anyways, I don't know if it was left out to the adoptive parents about everything in their background, but my grandson Christian, his paternal family. So okay, the paternal family. I should step back. We have been in contact, and they know now that their rights were violated because they were not informed of my grandson being placed into the system and being adopted. So they're pretty upset. The paternal grandfather has passed away, but the great grandparents are still around, and they have numerous aunts and uncles and everything. And so them not being told about this situation, they were never informed. There was so many things in the papers that were completely false and untrue, and that will be challenged. And what we want is to reopen this and bring it to the level that it needs to go to, because we're not trying to take the children back from their family, but what we want is justice. Like, this should have never happened. Would the kids have been adopted if the truth had been told? No. Probably not. I don't think that the people that adopted the grandchildren would have took them if they knew the truth. They would have known that these kids were not taken away from a drug-addicted mother. They were not taken away for drugs in the children's system. And they would have known that my grandson was not taken away from the mother in the first place, taken away from another person. They would have also known that I wasn't homeless and that I never put my granddaughter, Neve, in any kind of danger. My family went to court and tried to talk and testify at one point, like multiple family members and close family friends, because they all had knowledge that these things were not true. I was being labeled as homeless, as a prostitute. I was labeled as completely incompetent. I was labeled as someone who should never be allowed to raise a child. I was labeled as a mother who had her rights terminated to her children. I was labeled as a mother who had all her children placed into foster care. And these are absolute 100% lies. And so, why has that been told about me? Why has this happened to me? And why are they trying to ruin my reputation? I don't have criminal history. I don't have any records, any police arrests for prostitution. I have leases. I have proof of all these things that I lived in a stable home apartment, you know? I mean, for me, it's stable apartment living is a lease that I had. I have proof of all this. There was a short amount of time that I chose to stay at a budget suites hotel, and that was by my choice because I liked it. It was all bills paid, one bedroom like apartment, kitchen, everything. Why not? You know? And I was a taxi driver, so I just didn't really need to be tied down to a lease at that time because I was working crazy hours, but I wasn't homeless. And I had plenty of witnesses. I had plenty pieces of documents to prove. So what I'm saying is that everything about me was used in my daughter's case with her kids. Like everything that they said about me, they ruined my daughter's life. They have hurt our family. They have caused a lifetime of pain that you cannot get back. I wish that the parents who adopted my grandchildren would one day see this and just say, hey, you know what? Maybe there's some truth in this. Maybe we really need to talk and find out, and let's see what this woman has. I'm talking about me, you know, and what this family actually has to see if we were lied to by CPS in the courts. Because from my understanding, they're pretty strong Christians, and I don't think that they would have adopted these children and gone through this process if they had known the whole truth. Like, do they know that my grandchildren are half Hispanic, have Native American? Do they know the actual blood type is a rare blood type that my granddaughter has? Do they know that she was born with positive measles? Do they know that my grandson had Coombs disease? Do they know these things? Do they know what we went through? Do they know anything? Because when those kids were taken into care, the CPS wouldn't even let them come with their own medications that were already prescribed. I mean, what does that tell you? And I know for a fact that my drug testing that they did on me was negative. I have the reports to prove that they drug tested me, even though they were saying that I was clearly on crack. But then they turn around in the next report and they admit that my drug test was clean. What did I do as a grandmother so bad? They just didn't like us. They didn't like the fact that I didn't want to take my daughter to an abortion clinic. And when I say that, they know exactly what I'm talking about. The courts and the people that did that, they know what that statement's about. You cannot violate my religious rights. You cannot violate my due process. You cannot use things against me that are not true. You literally need proof behind it. How dare CPS and people go and write affidavit of facts on something they know nothing about? Copy and pasting. That's all they did. That's where I'm going to prove. I believe this to be the truth because I know the truth. And I'm so happy to know that my grandchildren are doing okay, as far as I know. They don't live far from me. I pray one day God will open that door and they will be allowed to meet their grandmother and their great-grandmother. Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say. This was the end of part 2. Bye.